What's going on, guys? Today is another new day and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for watching again. Today what I'm going to be doing is installing these Corbeau RRX seats in the TL. As you guys saw in the last video, and if you haven't checked it out, make sure you do. I'll leave a little link here or a link down in the description. Check out the last video. My buddy Ryan and I, we both gutted the TL. We're going to get these seats in today, but I also want to address the SRS airbag light that everyone has a problem with. Okay, so I'm gonna try and document as much as I can. I actually already did the SRS light trick myself, so I know it works. So we're not gonna be just doing trial and error because I already got that out of the way. So I'm gonna go and show you guys what it looks like right now. Big step when you guys are doing this. I already had this done, that's why I didn't mention it earlier. But make sure that anytime you're dealing with airbags or anything electrical in the car, that you disconnect your battery. All right, disconnect your battery. That is important. So when you remove your seats, you're going to have harnesses and connectors like so. So this is the passenger side, right? Just back up, just make sure you guys know where the placement is. All right, we are on the passenger side. Now when you disconnect your seats, you will see two gray connectors here. All right, and I already have a jumper on this one. I'll explain what this is in a little bit. This one right here, this is for the OPDS, I think that's how you say it, module, and basically that is the one that's connected to the sensors in your seat. And again, I'll cover that in just a little bit. Here, this was actually your airbag connector right here. It's the yellow one. All I did was depin it. If you guys don't know how to depin connectors, there are a ton of videos on YouTube on how to do that. There are little tabs in here that you can use a very small flathead screwdriver to lift up the tab and then pull this entire connector off. OPDS module, the airbag connector here, and this is for your heated seats and seatbelt connector and the power seats, okay, or the motors for the power seats. So underneath the seat, you'll see those same corresponding connectors that go plug into it. When you remove your seat, unplug these, and then you should just have the bare connectors just like how I have it right now. We're gonna go on to the driver's side. On this side, same thing basically, except this connector is a little bit bigger. But this also has the power to the motors, so that you can move your seat forwards, backwards, and then make all the adjustments that you want, the lumbar support, etc. And then this right here is your airbag connector, and then you can see that I have a resistor already on it right now, and I'll cover this in a little bit also. So these are your two connectors right here. This is, again, I depinned it. I will show you guys how to connect these. You probably should solder these, but when you're just testing, you don't have to do all that. Okay, so I just showed you where the connectors are, right? I'm assuming that if you're having this issue, you have already experienced unplugging your connectors from the seats. It's not that hard to do, guys. If you know how to unbolt your seats, you're gonna know how to disconnect those connectors, because that's how you take those seats out. So I'm not gonna cover removing the seats, because I already did that in the last video. Even though it wasn't too much into depth, you kind of got the gist of how to do it. But I do wanna show you the old seats, and you can see that this one I've already removed the leather cover. I will be completely honest with you, it was a pain in the butt. I got a few cuts and scrapes on my hand, but we're okay, we're still alive. But the reason why I had to do that, and I'll walk you guys through right now, is because you need to get access to the OPDS module, and the module is connected to the sensors that are on that are actually mounted. I think they're like taped onto the back support. And I'm not gonna mess with this too much because I already did, and you gotta be careful when you're handling these sensors, because they are very fragile and you don't want to tear them, because then you'll have a malfunction and then you'll trip the SRS light. So when you're back here, if you don't know how to remove the covers, there are write-ups on how to do that. Every car should be similar. I'm not going to cover it because it's pretty straightforward. Whatever clamps that you see, all right? So for example, these little rings right here, you're going to have to open these rings up with some pliers or like a needle nose, something like that. And then there's these clear clips right here. that go on to the back of these rods. Okay, so when you remove all of these, you pull that cover back. I want to clarify something because the OPDS module is only located on the passenger seat, not the driver's seat. That module is responsible for determining the weight, or this module is responsible for determining if there is, I don't even know how to say this. This module is responsible for determining if there's a passenger sitting in the seat that meets the requirement for the airbag to go off. Okay, there you go. That's the third time I just tried that right now. I finally got it. All right, these sensors are here, and I believe they're just basically load cells that are sending contact to the module and saying that there is a person that weighs, for example, 100 pounds or more. Okay, and the reason why they do that is because for safety reasons, you don't want to have a child sitting in the passenger seat and the airbag goes off and it hurts the child, okay, or a small person, whoever, because people could be less than 100 pounds too and still be grown. Yeah, yes they can. Okay, it's very rare, but it's definitely possible. So that's what those sensors are for. You're gonna need to get those out of there. All right, and why do you need to do that is because I'm not an electrical engineer, I am strictly mechanical, but I have dabbled in electronics, and my dad is also an electrical engineer, so he's taught me a little bit growing up. So these sensors have some sort of resistance, of some sort of value. I don't know what the actual value is, and I'm not going to measure it. So when you sit on it, right, and you put some weight on it, I'm going to make that assumption that somehow the weight is transferred into an electrical signal, and then it sends that signal back to the module, which the module is plugged in to the harness that was in the car over there. Okay, and then that communicates to your ECU. Whatever this value of resistance is, which I don't know, no one knows. I've looked online because I wanted to see if it was possible to simulate and trick the OPDS module to think that the sensors are already there. I have tried it, all right, and I will show you guys that I actually cut the wires because I thought I was Slick Rick, and I thought that I could trick the computer, the ECU, to think that the sensors are there by closing the loop. And I'll explain how I try to do that, even though don't try it, just leave the wires intact, okay, and just pull out the sensors. You see how there's foam on the back of this, like the seat foam? That's because these sensors go right here. So there's like 4 lines right here. Okay, and then there's like more lines right here, and that is the exact same lines for these, right? And then there's also one more right here. I am assuming that you're doing this knowing that your OEM seats will not have this feature anymore. And I also want to put a disclaimer out there. If you're following this tutorial, I am not responsible for any damage that you do to your car, all right, or any damage to yourself. In any case, if something bad were to really happen to you in your car, I'm not responsible for that. You guys are doing this at your own discretion. Once you grab these sensors off, okay, you pull the wires out, you'll have these, and they actually plug in individually right here. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let me unplug one. Okay, right there. So that unplugs, and there's 3 of them. There's one slim one here, there's another slim one on the end, and then this middle one right here that has 4 wires coming out of it. But it just goes in just like that. And then this is the connector that goes to the harness back into the car. Okay? And this is what I was talking about earlier with me cutting the wires. I actually reattached them just to test them. I'm going to solder them back up again. But what I tried to do was each individual wire, I think, let's use this one. This one's a better example. So this is one single wire, right? And I cut it, and then I had to reattach it. But each individual wire has two smaller wires, right? And they have like a shielded cable in between them, so they're not touching. And I thought that if I connect the two, that I'm closing the loop, which technically you are, but I guess the system is trying to recognize and trying to read a certain value of whatever it is, resistance or whatnot. So I thought I could close the loop and then tell the computer basically that someone's in the seat at all times. You cannot do that in this case. So I'm going to solder those back up and then plug everything back in. All right, guys, so hopefully you understand what I'm talking about here, and I hope that I'm being very thorough about this. If you have any questions regarding the OPDS module trick, feel free to comment below or PM me on one of my social media accounts, whether it be Facebook or Instagram, doesn't matter. Most of you guys have contacted me and I get back to you pretty quickly, and I appreciate that you guys are like, thanks for the quick response, because it's feedback for me and I can always use that as proof that I am actually a legit person and I'm not gonna brush you guys off just because some people do that and I'm not that person. All right, so that covers the OPDS module trick. We're gonna go now to the SRS light and cover that real quick. So let's go back onto the passenger side. Remember, we're on the passenger side. Make that clear. So the passenger side, as I mentioned before, you have the airbag connector right here, okay? And what you need are these. Let me see if I can get this to focus right. There you go. You need these. And these are basically resistors, okay? 5 watt, my goodness, 5 watt, 2 ohms. How did I get this information? I'm not just pulling this out of nowhere. If you go into your service manual, all right, and you look up the troubleshooting for the SRS airbags, for the side pass, actually I think all of the airbags that are set up here in this in this car for the TL. I'm not sure how it is for the other cars that are based off of the TL or the TL that are similar, like the TSX and the Accord. I would assume that it's the same, because I think it's going to be a waste of money if Honda were to keep changing it up for every single different car. So I'm gonna make that assumption, but again, this is just for the TL, so you can use that as reference. If you look in your service manual of how to troubleshoot the SRS airbag, you'll find that whoever is going to be doing the troubleshooting, whether it be a Honda Tech or whatever, they have a SRS airbag simulator, and basically it is a 2 ohm simulator that they plug in to see if the airbag is working. They check to see if the harness or the wiring is actually intact. And there's a procedure on there. I forgot, I think it's like chapter or section 23 or something like that in your service manuals. If you don't have a copy of it, I 100% highly suggest that you guys get a copy of the service manual if you can. Okay, so that's where I got that value from, and that's where everyone else is getting that value from as well, unless if they've measured the resistance themselves, which that can be done too. Okay, so you're gonna need those. I will leave a link down in the description for these resistors. I think I got 10 of them for $8, and I know that might be a little expensive for some of you Sparkies out there, but this was off of Amazon and I kind of wanted them ASAP and I didn't know where else to go, and I like ordering off of Amazon. That's personal preference. Okay, so what you're gonna do now, so you have 2 ends for the SRS bag connector, and one end is gonna go in like so, and the other end, can't do this with one hand, just gonna go in like that. Okay, just like that. You can solder these. I think I'm gonna do it that way to make sure that the connection is secure and it's not going to move or anything. So that takes care of the passenger side airbag. Now let's go to the driver's side. So as I showed you guys earlier, again, the lighting's not so great, but this will do. This connector right here, the brown wires, this is the SRS connector. And you're going to copy and do exactly the same thing as you did on the passenger side. You're going to put that resistor, you're going to put one end on one wire and one end on the other. And then make sure that you guys secure that with whatever means you think is necessary. I'm gonna solder mine again. Okay, and if you guys are wondering if the light actually doesn't come on, you know, and I'm not telling fables out here, I will put everything back together, and before I solder everything, I will test it again and show you that the light is gone and it won't come back. Okay, so I showed you guys the SRS trick, I showed you the OPDS trick, and now I need to show you the seatbelt trick. Okay, so and this is important for anyone that's running aftermarket seats that also wants to run harnesses, because at some point I will be installing a harness bar with some harnesses, you want to make sure that the ECU still thinks that there's a seatbelt here, because if the seatbelt's not registered in the system, the SRS light will go off again. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. If I looked at the circuit correctly and I understood it, I think that's how it works. Yes, that's it. That is how it works, because it threw a code for me the other day. So you need to be able to trick the ECU into thinking that the seatbelt system is still intact. And there is a very simple way to do this. There's multiple ways to do it, but I suggest you just do it this way because this is the easiest. That way you don't have to have any extra pieces. So let me show you guys what we're gonna do here. Back on the passenger side. And remember when I was walking through these harnesses, this one is your OPDS module connector, and that one is your airbag, right? As I've mentioned, with the resistor in it. This one right here is responsible for your the motors in your seat and your seat heaters, okay? And this also is responsible for the seatbelt connection. So you're probably wondering what this loop is. If any of you guys have messed with wiring before, this is just a jumper wire. Nothing too crazy, just simple. Guys, if there's an easier method, please leave it down in the comments. I'm curious to know what you guys think I should do. Personally, I think this is the cleanest method without making it too complicated. But again, if there's another method that you guys think is better, I'm all ears. Leave it down in the comments. Okay, so what I did here, okay, so the connector is pointing away from you. Orange wire on the top, blue wire on the top, and right next to the blue wire there's a black wire with 2 silver dots. Alright, that black wire is the ground connection for the seatbelt. It's just a ground connection, period. Really, you can just use whatever ground connection you want. But you want to jump the black cable, or the black wire, to the orange one. Okay, and that completes the loop for the system to think that the seatbelt is secured and the seatbelt is fastened. All right, and what you're going to do is it just looks like this. Probably just going to tape this down, like fold it over and then tape it down so that it doesn't come out. But that's how you do the passenger side, okay? So now the system thinks that the seatbelt is fastened on the passenger side. So now we're going to go over to the driver's side again, and I'll show you guys how to do the driver's side seatbelt trick. This is the harness for the driver's side, all right? And we're gonna do the same thing, except I'm gonna flip this over onto this side. So this is the side where the yellow, teal, and blue wires are on the top. And to be more specific, they're actually yellow and green all the way on the far left. Okay, and then it's just teal with 2 silver dots, and then red or blue and red. Blue with a red stripe is the 3rd position. That teal wire right here, the second one over, that is part of your seatbelt, and you're gonna have to jump from there to a ground source. And I actually don't know what ground source is for the actual seatbelt, so I just picked one over here, and I hope this doesn't cause any issues. I don't think it will, because it's just ground. But yeah, any one of these, I'm pretty sure any one of these black wires will work. What I actually did was jump from teal all the way to one of the black wires, and that will take care of your seat belts. All right. Okay, so I just showed you 3 tricks to how to trick the ECU for the SRS light, which includes the airbags, both driver and passenger, the OPDS module, which is only on the passenger side, and then the seatbelt trick, which is on both the driver and passenger side. All right. Once you get all of those 3 done, you're finished with the wiring, messing with any of the wiring, and the ECU will now think that everything is still intact. You should probably clean up those wires and make sure that those connections don't come off. And then after you do that, you're ready to install your seats. But before I go into finishing up cleaning those wires and soldering them together and making everything look nice, I'm going to show you guys that this actually works. So let's go to the driver's side. So now we have power. Just double check, make sure everything's plugged back in. Resistor, jumper cable, module, resistor, and jumper cable. Okay. All right, so we spark this up. And everything should disappear. The SRS light has disappeared. The check engine will disappear in a second too. It takes a little bit when you're on ACC mode. There we we go. 4 and 5 off. You just saw that it works. Make sure that you disconnect your battery again. Well, I guess if you're finished, you don't have to do that, but in my case I'm going to do that because I have to solder these wires now, and then I'm going to be installing the new seats. So I'm going to do that real quick. I'm not going to show you guys how to solder. I feel like it's a waste of footage, waste of time. You guys know how to do that. You guys are all pros, right? But I will show you the installation of the seats, and I'll put the camera up for that. So I'm going to solder this up, and then I'll touch base with you guys before I put the seats in. All right, see you guys in a little bit. All right, guys, so we're back. I finished up soldering the wires for the OPDS module. So I just ran into an issue. I don't know whether I taped something wrong or I soldered something. The wire got a little too hot, but unfortunately, it threw the SRS code back on the dash. So what I did was removed the wiring and inspected them again. I guess I had one frayed wire, so I fixed that, and then the code went away. So I plugged in my my reader, my OBD2 reader, and cleared the code, but now the SRS light is stuck on. So let me just talk to you guys about this because this is so dumb. So I tried to reset the SRS light using the paperclip method, and at some point while I was trying to reset it, the battery began to die. So I lost voltage. It was supposed to be around 12 volts, right? When no load is on. And right now we're sitting at 9.4. So now it's thrown more codes. Actually, it's thrown one extra code. It's like 60-1 or something like that. But it said it's an ABS code, and it is battery voltage failure. So I have the ABS light on, I have the SRS light on, I have the VSA light on, and I have the I think that's it. Yeah, just those three. I have the ABS, VSA, and the SRS light on right now. So originally I wanted all of those gone, but now I have all of them on. So now I have to pause the video here, and tomorrow I'm going to go run out and buy a new battery because this one's actually 3 years old, and it's about time I get one replaced anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to put in the seats tonight, and hopefully I'll be able to do that tomorrow or one of these other days, so that I can get this video out to you guys, because I know some of you guys have been asking me how am I going to get rid of the SRS light. But I have proven it to you guys, so if worse comes to worse and it's taking too long for this to get fixed, I will post this video anyways. That way you guys know how to do this, right? So you don't have to wait on me. So yeah, I'm going to do that. So tomorrow we'll get a new battery, and hopefully all the problems go away. If they don't, then we'll figure it out at some point. But yeah, I just wanted to update you guys on that, just so that you guys know I'm not just skipping around things. All right, so I guess I'll see you guys tomorrow maybe.